1942, a year carved into history with fire and steel. From this crucible emerged the Messerschmitt 109 G2, lean, relentless, and sharpened by necessity. Before its engine roared, the air already seemed to tense, as if the sky itself understood what was about to ascend. It began quietly, almost without ceremony, and more as a necessity than a revolution. By 1942, the Luftwaffe found itself at a crossroads. The early warriors had belonged to the Bf 109, but lessons from the Eastern Front and the growing strength of Allied fighters revealed an uncomfortable truth. The aircraft that had once dominated the skies was reaching the limits of its design. The engineers at Messerschmitt knew they needed more power, more climb, more survivability, yet without sacrificing the familiar frame that pilots trusted with their lives. Out of this tension, the Bf 109 G2 emerged. It was not introduced with fanfare. There was no sweeping redesign, no dramatic new silhouette. The G2 was instead a refinement, a deliberate and almost cautious evolution of the proven airframe. But beneath the surface, everything that mattered had changed. At its heart lay the Daimler-Benz DB 605, a new engine that delivered more power, more responsiveness, and a sharper edge in combat. It transformed the aircraft's personality. What had once been a nimble, elegant dogfighter was becoming something colder, more forceful, a weapon shaped by necessity rather than style. Yet the G2 retained a purity that later variants would lose. Its airframe remained clean and narrow, free from the armored bulges that would soon characterize the Gustav family. The wings were unbroken, the nose sleek, the canopy unchanged. Light on the controls, fast in the climb, and still capable of that razor-sharp vertical maneuvering the type was famous for. The first G2s reached frontline units in the summer of 1942, arriving quietly across the Eastern Front and the Mediterranean. For many squadrons, the aircraft felt like a relief. The additional horsepower allowed it to rise above chaotic dogfights with authority. Its acceleration out of dives and its ability to sustain high-altitude pursuit changed how pilots engaged the enemy. Even with modest armament, the G2 struck with speed and precision, relying on positioning rather than sheer firepower. The Bf 109 G2 marked the threshold, where old confidence met new demands, and where the Luftwaffe stepped into a phase of war that was no longer defined by early victories. It was a transition point, a moment suspended between what the aircraft had been and what it needed to become. The Bf 109 G2 presents a silhouette defined by precision and restraint. Its fuselage follows a narrow, continuous line from the pointed spinner at the nose to the tapered tail, every contour shaped to minimize excess and concentrate purpose. The engine cowl sits tightly around the Daimler-Benz power plant, its panels interrupted only by small access hatches and subtle fasteners, each one part of a deliberate rhythm across the metal skin. Along the nose, the MG-17 outlets sit cleanly integrated into the upper cowling, simple dark openings that add no ornament, only function. The cannon breech bulges, characteristic of the Gustav series, rise smoothly from the surface, geometrically defined, precise in their proportions, merging into the line of the fuselage without drawing attention away from the aircraft's overall clarity. The canopy is narrow, framed by thin metal ribs that follow the shape of the cockpit without distorting it. The antenna mast rises cleanly behind it, supporting the aerial wire that stretches toward the tail, a single straight line that adds a sense of precision rather than decor. The tailplane and vertical fin keep the same restrained geometry. Flat planes, sharp angles, no excess curvature, all arranged in balanced proportion. Across the entire airframe, the metal panels show subtle variations in tone, where light meets curvature soft transitions along the fuselage spine, stronger contrasts along the wing roots. Nothing feels decorative. Every line, every edge, every contour exists because it must, and stops exactly where it should. The Bf 109 G2 stands as an aircraft defined by clarity. Its shape is simple in appearance, but built from countless disciplined decisions, restrained surfaces, tight tolerances, and a structural logic that reveals itself the longer one observes it.